There are four typical reactions I get from people when I show them an ancient coin for the first time. The first, and the one I expect to see, is that person is thrilled about seeing such an old artifact, just like I am, and we engage in a nice conversation about ancient history. Other individuals immediately take a more skeptical posture, claiming there's no way something that old can be real, and if it was real, it would be worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. Then there's the vast majority of people who just see it as a curiosity, quickly losing interest, which sadly shows how people care little about history nowadays. And then there are those that, quoting Indiana Jones, just tell me that
from you, that belongs in a museum. So do you.
Now, does it? Ancient coin collectors have been under attack for quite a few years now, particularly by archaeologists, academics, and politicians who claim to be fighting for the protection of world heritage. They claim we generate a market for looters and those who destroy archaeological sites, that we hoard coins to ourselves, preventing them to be studied by real academics, so everyone is missing out on potential discoveries, and that by hoarding these coins, we are preventing coins from being enjoyed by the public. Well, I don't like being vilified, so let's tackle the subject. I think we should break this down into some topics and discuss them separately. First, is there something inherently wrong in collecting and studying ancient coins as a private individual? Are there moral issues with it? Should it be forbidden like it currently is in countries like Turkey or Greece, or highly restricted like in Italy or Spain? Second, do all coins belong in museums? Shouldn't we just apply a maximum preservation policy and make it law that all coins older than a certain age should be kept in museums so they can one day be studied by one real expert and preserved by people who supposedly know how to protect them? And third, should coins, just like antiquities, be returned to their countries of origin? The terms repatriation or decolonization of museums have been in the news recently, with countries arguing who should have ownership of which antiquities. Should the same principles be applied to coins? Let's have a chat about all of that. Alright, let's begin. You see, ancient numismatics has a long, very proud history that spans hundreds of years. We don't know exactly who was the first coin collector, but we have verifiable records of people collecting and studying coins as far back as the 14th century. Petrarch, the father of the Renaissance, collected and studied coins. Guillaume Boudet, a classicist from France, published De Asse et Partibus Eius, a book on Roman bronze coins, in 1514. Numismatics became known as the hobby of kings around the 15th and 16th century because it attracted individuals from all walks of life. Initially, as the name suggests, mostly kings, the aristocracy. Then it started going down the social ladder. Presidents, distinguished intellectuals, successful businessmen, artists, and finally, in the last couple of centuries, everyday individuals like you and me. The majority of collectors are passionate about history, dedicated to researching, recording, and preserving coins for future generations. Claiming we are nothing but hoarders is just preposterous. Numismatics is without a doubt the most successful case of what is called citizen science. Most catalogs on Roman, Greek, Byzantine, Indian, and other types of coins were written by private individuals rather than by public academic institutions, and the efforts of these individuals led to remarkable discoveries that transcended numismatics. Ancient languages like the Iberian script from Spain could only be deciphered due to the study of coins. The studies on Indo-Greek bilingual coins, conducted privately by James Prinsep, an English engineer, led to the deciphering of Kharoshthi, one of India's oldest languages. Sadly, wonderful examples of numismatists contributing to our knowledge of history often go unnoticed, and the hobby increasingly faces attacks from academia, from government, and from the media, always driven by personal agendas of misunderstandings. Critics frequently conflate the collection of ancient coins, which were minted in the billions, in the millions, to one-of-a-kind works of art like paintings and sculptures, while it is not the same thing. It's always the same old story. Coin collectors and metal detectorists are depicted as these ruthless treasure hunters, destroying ancient graves and demolishing archaeological sites in the dead of night in a selfish endeavor to get a few coins. In fact, most ancient coins are found in large, sometimes massive hoards far away from archaeological sites. Remember, banks, as we know today, did not exist in ancient times. People stashed their valuables in hidden, secluded places. Any coins hidden in or under like a high-profile building, like a temple in the middle of a big city, would be the first coins to be taken away when a pillaging army arrived. For centuries, coins have been accidentally excavated by builders and farmers. The invention of metal detectors has, of course, led to a dramatic increase in the number of ancient coins discovered, but also in turn the number of ancient sites identified. As a result, there are two courses of action we could take in this new reality of metal detectors and ancient coins being collected by the masses. We could do like Spain, Italy, or Turkey, who just banned the use of detectors and throw people found with them in jail while they were calmly combing down a farm or a hill in the middle of nowhere to see if they find a coin. Or we could be rational and emulate the success of the 1996 Treasure Act of England and Wales, along with the Portable Antiquities Scheme, which permits the use of metal detectors and incentivizes the declaration of any finds. It is a proven example that it is possible for all parties to work together for mutual benefit and in defense of heritage. And make no mistake, protection of archaeological sites is still very strong in England. If you get caught detecting or digging a protected site in England or Wales, you will go to jail. The same will happen if you don't declare important finds. You are required to follow rules. The main difference is that English law and public opinion does not immediately treat a detectorist as a looter and a collector as a peddler of stolen goods. Some will still decry a loss of archaeological context, though they are oddly quiet about the routine deep plowing of fields that obliterates archaeological remains and often brings a coin right to the surface in the first place. Indeed, the discovery of coins at a site, usually dispersed by centuries of agriculture, is exactly what leads to further archaeological investigation at places. I also personally find it is very helpful to practice a bit of skepticism when dealing with those working at public institutions. For some reason, the general public seems to imbue historians, archaeologists, and those working for the public sector as beings with this flawless and uncorruptible sense of civic duty. Just because they work for the, with capital S, state, therefore they always act in the best interest of the public good, forgetting for a moment that they are people just as vulnerable to engaging in corruption and abuses of power as we, the unwashed masses, are. I know there are a few archaeologists, students of history, museum curators who watch this channel, and I'm honored you watch my content. And of course, I know the vast majority of you pick this career path because you have a genuine love for history and the preservation of our common heritage. However, it is essential to recognize that from all people in society, you are the ones who know best about history and how history is absolutely full of stories of autocrats, corrupt kings and emperors, and those who abused of their positions of power. Therefore, advocating for the prohibition of private ownership of ancient coins not only becomes counterproductive to the production of new knowledge, it is also condescending, elitist, and a massive act of hypocrisy, And we see quite a few examples of this hypocrisy from those we entrusted with the protection of our heritage. A couple of very blatant examples that come to my mind now are the Ripostiglio di Cheraino, a hoard of 636 Roman coins discovered in 1855 near Verona, Italy. A Venetian museum purchased the hoard. They added 196 of those coins to their collections, and what did they do with the duplicates? They melted them down for their silver. Brilliant. Or maybe an even more egregious example. During the Spanish Civil War between 1936 and 39, as Madrid was about to fall to Francisco Franco's troops, most gold coins kept in the National Archaeological Museum were hastily seized by the Republicans. The stated reason was to move the coins to a safe place and safeguard national heritage from looting. The last recorded trail of the collection was aboard a ship on its way to Mexico, where the coins disappeared without a trace, one of the worst unsolved crimes against numismatics. And this is not just a case about corruption, it's just common sense. Just wonder how many gold and silver treasures found by farmers in places like Greece or Turkey just got melted down and sold as bullion because the owners of a field did not want to bother with the hassle it all was. If an Italian farmer finds a treasure of Roman gold coins in his field, what do you think is the most likely turn of events? Will he follow the current legislation, reporting the find, having the authorities scrutinize him day in, day out, have part of his property cordoned off so a dig can eventually be conducted, be immediately marked as a suspicious individual, and have the Italian carabinieri breathing down his neck to see if he didn't hide any coins, and all of that for no material gain? Or would he just say, "Vaffanculo stronzo di merda" to the authorities, melt it all down into gold bars, and the issue is done with? I'll let you answer this question. Okay, with the morality question out of the way, we go to our second question. Do all coins belong in museums? And this is actually a very honest question, and I think when people ask it, they generally don't visualize the sheer number of coins there are out there. Coins were the first manufactured good really produced in industrial quantities. Billions upon billions were made, with millions surviving to our days. I would even dare say they number in the billions still. We only know approximate minting figures for some very limited types. They didn't keep records of how many coins they made. But still, the numbers are impressive, and let me give you a couple of examples. Here, check this out. Here's a very common type from the late Roman Republic. This is a denarius issued by Mark Antony for his troops, right before the famous Battle of Actium in 31 BC. It's a very famous type, not only because of its historical significance, but because of how common they are. Based on studies of the dice, between 25 and 35 million of them were made. And keep in mind, these were struck just for a few months. It's quite likely there are tens of thousands in collections all over the world. The Roman mints had a tremendous potential of spewing millions of coins year after year. Want to see another more extreme example? Here we have a silver drachma from Gordian III. If you are a coin collector, you are very well acquainted with this young man here. If you're not, he was a relatively short-lived emperor in the 3rd century AD. A study recently released by a numismatist called Roger Bland on the coinage of Gordian between 238 and 244 AD, so just 6 years, concluded that his silver coin issues in 2 Eastern mints alone, Antioch and Caesarea, was estimated at between 85 and 100 million coins. That's only 2 mints, only the silver coins. We're excluding bronzes, we're excluding the main mint of Rome, we're excluding all the other mints active in the empire at that time. Now, think about all of the coins produced during the Republic, all of the coins issued in the 5 centuries the empire was around in all metals, and we get some truly mind-bending numbers. Did I forget mentioning we are only counting Roman coins? Remember there were the Greeks, the Celts, the Byzantines, the Parthians, the coins of the Middle Ages, so on, so forth. There are a lot of coins out there. And yes, not all of them have survived to our days. Many were recycled, restruck, many rotted away, but even if we consider 0.5% of them survived in jars and pots buried somewhere, and you still tell me we should just put them all in museums so they can be all studied? Well, we better start drafting every single person on the planet and get started on cataloging, because it will take a while to get the job done. It is therefore important to remember that while impressive in their artistry, and sometimes they're fondly called monuments in miniature, ancient coins are not unique monuments, and they should not be treated as such. If you tell me a unique statue, which used to be part of a temple, a public place, should be in a museum rather than in a private collection, I could have a discussion with you on that. I might agree. If you tell me the Elgin marbles should be returned to Greece because they're unique, we can have a conversation about that as well. But coins are and always were portable items of economic exchange, tools used by people at every level of society. Now, don't get me wrong, museums should absolutely have coin collections. In fact, many museums around the world have some of the most important collections ever assembled that have been well studied and published, and some can be easily accessed by those interested in studying them. By God, I recently published a video featuring the coins of the Royal Library of Belgium. I wish every museum was that willing to cooperate with the numismatic community, and they were that open-minded about making their collections available for the public. Some other museums, unfortunately, only allow those of the academic community to access them, making us wonder just how public are those public collections. The main issue with coins in museums is that even though every single coin is a historically valuable window into the ancient world, the fact is that by their very nature, they're tiny. They're difficult to display effectively and hard to contextualize for the general public. As a result, institutions only ever display like a tiny part of their collection, and they are generally displayed like with the container they were found in, as if they were quote-unquote one visually impressive treasure artifact, while we know that each and every coin actually passes a different message. The British Museum, for example, only displays less than 1% of its ancient coins. Ask any museum worker, and they will likely confirm that the storage and the maintenance of so many coins that will never see the public eye represents a challenge, if not an inconvenience. The idea that museums would want to secure and store every single new coin that came out of the ground for its collections is simply an impossibility in terms of logistics and manpower. Only the most outstanding coin discoveries with outstanding historical value would ever interest a museum. How about some of that burden is shared with passionate collectors? Sounds like a win-win for everyone. That's why I think the Treasure Act and the Portable Antiquity Scheme is so important and should be emulated all over the world. Going back to the issue of storage of so many coins, private collectors put a lot of effort and spend quite a bit of money to store their collections carefully, investing far more in modern storage methods than most museums can afford to. Institutions might do their best with their limited resources they have, but it is a reality that right now there are lots of ancient coins rotting away from corrosive bronze disease in neglected storage boxes at the basements of museums all over the world. The solution given by the British is ingenious. Once you lawfully declare your finds to the Finds Liaison Office, it will be recorded, documented, and if it is determined that your find is of little interest for a museum to hang on to, then it is once again yours. They're actually 50% from the finder and 50% from the owner of the land. But then it is free to be released in the public market. Of course, there are those coins that might be rare or historically significant, and a museum may want to acquire it. Or you might find this huge hoard that adds to the history of a place. Then public institutions have the right to buy it from you. But here's the key word: they buy it. They don't just take it away from you. This creates the right kind of environment where it incentivizes finders to declare their discoveries, knowing they will be promptly compensated for their efforts, and we ensure all of the relevant archaeological information is recorded, increasing our body of knowledge. In my humble opinion, it is a great solution that works to the mutual benefit of academics and hobbyists. I feel like it should be common sense that this is the best solution, but sadly, the world we live in doesn't work on common sense. Apart from the argument that all coins should be crammed inside a museum, there's also the camp of those who say coins should be returned to their home country. This reminds me of a seizure of coins that happened in Peru in 2020. It came out on local news as this big seizure of 73 coins of historical value, very important, and they were all duly returned to Italy where they belong. Lots of pomp, lots of celebration by the academic community. Here in this picture we have the Italian diplomat, the Peruvian Minister of Culture, all very proud to return these priceless, looted Italian artifacts, until you look at the photos released from the seized coins. Check out this image. We have a hand holding a very suspicious looking Venetian grosso. This coin does not look genuine. But it gets really funny when we look at the coins in the tray below. The Italian coins returned to its home country of Italy. Starting at the lower part, we have a 500 lira, which started being issued in 1958. So even with Italy's terrible heritage laws, this coin is perfectly legal to own and export. Over it, there's a fake, blatantly fake Vespasian denarius struck in Ephesus. We can see it is fake from the picture alone because of its sheer size next to the lira. The real thing is much smaller. To the right of the lira, jumping the 10 Baiocchi coin, we have a Byzantine coin. In another picture, I could see the reverse of this coin. It's a 16 Numi coin struck under Justinian in Thessalonica, Greece. Over this coin, we have a couple of provincials, probably from modern-day Turkey. And there's even a 2 groschen from 1930s Austria as well. Yeah, Italian coins, they say. Some poor bastard lost his collection on the mail on his way to his home because a Peruvian politician and an Italian diplomat wanted to look good in the public eye and advance their careers. Not a single serious numismatist or historian examined these coins to see if they were truly coins coming from a suspicious source or looted from Italy. Pathetic. Despite the cartoonish nature of this episode, it's still worth discussing the matter. Where is a coin's home? Could it be where it was first struck? You know, coins are different if compared to antiquities. We usually know where an ancient coin was made. Does that mean we need to send all of Rome's coins back to the Capitoline Hill? Or perhaps they all belong in the modern nation of Italy, which was founded in 1861? For what purpose would we do this? Italian institutions could not and certainly would not wish for a shipment of billions of coins to show up in their doorstep. Neither would the ancient Roman state that created these coins, with the explicit objective of having them quickly travel to all corners of their empire, because that's what these coins were made for, to circulate and make the damn economy work. You know, keep in mind that 3% of Roman coin hoards are actually discovered in Italy. That means that 97% of all hoarded Roman coins are unearthed far from Rome in one of the many old provinces of the empire. It's actually kind of pretty to think that ancient coins still fulfilled the mission given to them by their makers, you know? They continue to spread the names, the faces, the messages of their leaders, 2,000 years later, making their way to continents the Romans did not even know they existed, So maybe a coin doesn't belong where it was first made. Does it then belong where it was discovered, in the country where it, by pure chance, ended its journey through time? Being so common, since they were mass-produced, coins offer excellent archaeological dating evidence for a site. By the way, the dating for most coins was made by us, private numismatists, so you guys from the academia are welcome. But beyond their date of issue and the date of deposition at a site, coins often offer very little and they add very little to the context of the area. The location of a coin's discovery is just one part of its ongoing story, and after being unearthed, many coins have incredible modern journeys that are just as amazing as their ancient lives. A wondrous realization to be had when holding a Roman denarius, for example, is that it belonged everywhere. It was designed and struck for use in what is now modern France, Morocco, Spain, Turkey. Ancient coins should always be fully declared and recorded upon discovery, so this dating information is kept. But after that, they should be allowed to continue their journey and spread their message as it was originally intended. With all of that in mind, what about us, private individuals, with a love for history, who just want to be able to collect, enjoy, and research our coins? What should we do? First, we need to accept this hobby is under attack. There's no way around it. There absolutely is a sector of academia and government officials who are perfectly fine with taking away your rights to own ancient coins in order to advance their careers. And we need to keep a watchful eye whenever they try to pass legislation for more restrictions and prohibitions. We can show them over and over the benefits of private research. As I've shown you extensively in this video, we can explain the realities of where ancient coins are found and show the successful example of England with its Treasure Act. But the sad reality is that we will only be able to educate a part of our legislators and the important people in academia who these legislators take advice from. There will be a part of them who simply do not care, and they are perfectly happy to cover themselves with the mantle of protectors of heritage, and will show no remorse in putting an end to 700 years of numismatic science, as long as they show up dressed in a suit, smiling next to an Italian diplomat as they return a batch of fakes and Byzantine coins to Italy, where they will most likely be thrown in a box and forgotten forever. If you are part of a collectors association, if you are a coin dealer, if you are part of a coin club, just accept that the cost you need to pay for your freedom to enjoy ancient numismatics is the never-ending vigilance against these bad actors. And when they show up their ugly heads trying to legislate against us, we need to be very vocal about their hypocrisy. Another thing we can do is to simply be better than them at their job of preserving heritage. Even if it's impossible to track down the provenance of all coins that have reached the market, generally only the important coins show up on catalogs or can have their provenance tracked down, it is never too late to start. When you purchase a coin, keep a record of where you got it from. Ask dealers about where a coin you might be interested in comes from. They might be unable to give you all the details due to privacy concerns, but this should at least allow you to clear up any doubts if a coin has been looted from an archaeological site, or if a coin has come from a potential conflict area. If you believe a dealer is not doing their due diligence in checking where a coin is from, walk away from the sale. There's no better way to enforce dealers acting responsibly than with your wallet. Getting used to research and keeping track of the provenance of your coins might even lead you to discover your coin was once part of some old collection, and you know what? This increases the value of a coin. Also, take care of your coins. We are merely their temporary custodians as they continue their journey throughout the centuries. Invest in proper storage. Learn how to handle them. This channel has plenty of videos on how to store and protect your coins, and there are lots of resources online that can be reached with a simple Google search. It's not complicated, it is not expensive, and anyone with a minimum interest on protecting his coins is able to give them better, let's say, living conditions than most coins in museums. And finally, we need to be better than museums in displaying our coins and bringing their beauty and their historical significance to the masses. Imagine yourself as a successor of Petrarch and all of the numismatists that came before us, because you are. If you have seen other videos of this channel, you might have noticed a lot of different pairs of hands holding the coins I show you here. And that's because I am not a museum curator or a billionaire that owns half of the world's ancient coins. This channel is a collaborative effort of many different collectors from all over the world who kindly film their coins so the entire planet can enjoy. How truly public are public collections if I often have to go through lots of hoops to have access to a museum collection, and sometimes might just be barred outright because I'm not part of the anointed academic community? On the other hand, we have plenty of private collections available online with high-resolution videos, high-resolution photos, beautiful articles written about each coin after careful research from its owner. Some even have 360-degree collages of their coins as to emulate the effect of having a coin in your hands. You can spin it around and see how light reflects off the coin. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. It's from the Artemis collection. He has contributed with this channel in the past. I don't know about you, but the arguments that private collectors greedily hoard their coins away from the public eye doesn't hold a lot of value anymore when you see how accessible these private collections have become to the public. So I think I've made myself very clear here. Should all ancient coins be in museums? No, they should not. Numismatists do an important job of disseminating history throughout society. We have helped a lot in building the overall human knowledge of history. We want to serve as ambassadors of history and ancient art from the academic world to the common man and woman on the street. And we want to enjoy, protect, and study them. So when these coins are 4,000 years old, when our powdery remains are as old to their future collectors as our coins' original minting places are to us, we want our descendants to continue this journey, to add even more knowledge to our shared ancient past, so we can all add our little grain of sand in this massive structure that is our shared knowledge of history.